Hello and welcome, or welcome back to my Vanilla Cities Skylines tutorial series. My name is Kodiak, and this is episode 6, 7, potentially? I'm not sure. Anywho, let's get back into it. I'm just gonna jump right in. If you are a beginner, new player playing the game Vanilla, this is the first bit of DLC that we're gonna be adding. We're gonna be adding the Parks Life DLC, which is gonna be found down here under Parks and Plazas. And you'll notice there's a bunch of new tabs at the top. So we are gonna build the park over here that I've been wanting to build since we kind of started laying out the town. So first thing I'm gonna do is start upgrading the roads, something I said we could do last episode. And I wanna make sure that all the roads around the park are at least upgraded for my own well-being. Honestly, I'm just ready to start upgrading all these roads. So let's do it. Now, I'm gonna stop the fast forward here and remind you guys that when you upgrade roads that are on corners, if you start with dirt, sometimes, you can kind of tell here, sometimes that upgraded paved road is a little bit wider than the dirt roads. The dirt roads are actually not the same width as the paved roads. So sometimes they'll eat into that little square, and you'll see this square go away, and both of them actually went away. And so that house does get destroyed. So just keep that in mind, that if you place, like, let's say you placed a high school here, you might not be able to upgrade that road. Now, something you might have noticed while I was upgrading was, you notice right here, there's like two really tiny sections, and I'll actually downgrade this to show you guys. So there's actually two really tiny sections of road here. And that's because a random node popped up here. So when I was placing this road, either it decided I'm gonna put a node here, the game sometimes will do that, or I might have placed it to here and then placed another segment of road, and I forced the node to be created there. So just a way around that is to just destroy the road if you don't want like little node sections like that, because that will allow traffic to merge lanes here. And if this was like a busier road, that could cause real problems. So one thing to think about when you're building, especially like higher density traffic infrastructure, is that you look at where your nodes are and make sure that they're not too close to intersections, because then you'll have merging traffic right there, and it'll cause some insane traffic backups, because cars will the AI just wants to merge. They want to merge so bad. So just make sure you keep that in mind. So I've upgraded all those roads. Let's get started on the park. So the first thing that we're gonna have to do is go into our districts tab. And you notice that there's actually something more than just districts down here now. Now we have the paint park area. So let's start painting this. Before I get too much farther in the series while I'm painting this, and you can be liberal with it as well. You can go outside if you really like. It doesn't matter. Something to keep in mind is that this is, I would say, my preferred DLC pack to suggest to first-time players. So like if they can only buy one DLC with the game, I would suggest Parks and Plazas. It's a really good DLC, and you'll see for generating revenue and just happiness overall for your citizens. And it's really easy to just look at the map and be like, wow, I want to build a nature reserve there. Like, it's just so easy to like look at maps in this game and be like, wow, this is really pretty. I want to build a nature reserve here. Or, oh, I like have this weird section in my like town, I'm gonna put a park there. Things like that are really easy to think about, and they provide such a heavy benefit for your citizens that I think it's like a must-have DLC. So if you're looking for any DLC, my number one suggestion is Parklife DLC. So if we go under our parks tab, we originally just had other parks, plazas, regular parks, and I believe we had props, and we didn't have park maintenance. So we just had props, other parks, plazas, and regular parks. Now we have city park, amusement park, zoo, and nature reserve. We also have the park maintenance building, because now with the Parks and Plazas DLC, parks actually need to be maintained in order to provide maximum amounts of happiness and things like that. So something to keep in mind with this DLC is that there is a little bit of extra management that comes with it. However, incredibly beneficial. So let's go to the city park, because we're going to put a city park here. I think it's the one that'll fit the best. We might even be able to fit all of the items that go with the park, because as you can see, all we have access to in all of the parks is 2 different types of paths. One's a plain path, the other one is a decorated path. For the nature reserve, you get little lights. For the zoo, you have trees. I believe the other ones are just trees. Yeah, the other ones are just trees. So you get a fence to kind of edge out your area. So I'll show you guys what that looks like really quickly here. So when you put a fence down, it'll remove zoning from that area, which can be helpful. Also just kind of looks really clean. You'll have the park main gate, which is pretty large. It has parking with it. All of them? All of them do technically, I suppose. I don't think the smaller city park doesn't, but. And then the small park main gate. So if you're not trying to build the biggest park in the world, your main gate can just be kind of small like this. And the side gate for the city park looks almost identical. So you can make it look really clean and normal by having these. And there's some really good Steam Workshop content for parks and plazas, one of them being invisible park gates. So if you want to build one of these parks, but you don't want these park gates because they are very unique looking, you can download those from the workshop if you are playing on PC. So we are gonna go with, because this is kind of a smaller city park, I don't plan on this being very big, we're gonna go with the small main gate. We're gonna put it right here at the end of the road. I love putting main gates, or just gates in general, at crosswalks or intersections, because you're giving access to pedestrians to get into your park. So if I were to put it right here, well, people would have to walk all the way around a block to get into the park. But if I put it here, anyone who's walking from over here will have to walk through this intersection if they were to go to here. If I were to put the park entrance here, if that makes any sense at all. I really just like putting them at intersections because it gives the most people access to the park's entrance. So if I can help it, I will try to put them closer to an intersection as I can, obviously. So let's go back in, and now we've unlocked a few things. The first time, the moment we place that, things start to unlock from all the options. Also, if you scroll down in each park, you get access to the park-specific props. So the city park has things like food stalls, ice cream vans. The nature reserve has a zoo, or this is the zoo. So the zoo has the zoo sign, park zoo table sets for eating at. You know, every single one of these will have that. I cannot talk enough about how much I love the nature reserves. It's so easy and simple to just make cute little campsites and hiking trails with this. I could build an entire map that's just a hiking trail, and I would be happy. So, a little bit of a bias there. Anywho, let's start building. So I don't want this park to be too crazy or anything like that. I'll show you what the trees paths will look like. So this is what they look like if you place it kind of short. The trees will just be right there. Place it longer, you notice that they start to space out a bit more. We're gonna go with the treeless paths. For smaller parks, this is just kind of how I feel comfortable building it. And then park side gates. So we're gonna place some side gates down. I'm gonna place one down over here, kind of is close to this crosswalk. So if anybody's walking along the edge here, they can kind of come in. And then I'm gonna place this one down over here. Kind of the same thing over on this side. And then if they're coming from this intersection, they can just walk down to here and get into this main entrance. The other alternative we could do is put them on all of the corners, kind of like here, here, and here. But I kind of like placing it right here at this intersection. It gives easy access to the park. So if somebody drives with a vehicle to this park, just keep in mind that that's added traffic, especially when there's parking attached to the main gates. So we've also unlocked some new items that we have to place into the park, because parks have levels, and this is something you'll see pretty common in the DLCs, is that the areas that you start to zone. So parks is not just the only district area that you paint. You also paint campuses, industrial areas, airports. Those come with all of their respective DLCs, and they get upgraded through levels. So if we click on Cypress Gardens, which is the current name for it, you'll notice that Cypress Gardens is a city park area. Tells you how big it is, how many cells, their attractiveness, the level of maintenance. So this park maintenance building will help increase in things like that. The ticket costs, to actually enter the park. And this is where parks become very cool, because if we really wanted to, we could have put a park right here right? And if we mirrored it on this side, we could have filled this entire area in as a park. And then the best way for pedestrians to get from point A to point B would be to walk through the park to go to work. And they will do that because it's the fastest and easiest route, and they will pay you. And it's a really, really awesome, I don't know, exploit's the right word, but way to capitalize, or I don't know if capitalize is the right word, but yeah, capitalize on this DLC and make a ton of money for your town, and you will never have to worry about cash again. This is another reason why it is my #1 DLC to suggest to people. I just think it's so great. It's so great for so many reasons. However, we're not going to do that. We're not going to abuse it. And I'm just going to build this park path down to here. I'm going to take this one. We're going to try to not destroy that rock. So we're going to grab the freeform tool. And I think I'm just going to start building out paths. So I'll probably fast forward this. I tried to save that little rock, but I failed. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Biffa. All right, and we'll connect that down. And that will be the main paths going through the park. And we can obviously add more paths in and around. We could do like a little corner here if we wanted to add more buildings. So let's start placing our buildings. So we have a couple options for the buildings. We have Park Plaza, Park Cafe, Park Restrooms, and Park Info Booth. And these are just the starting buildings. And all the parks kind of have this where you start off with a small selection of buildings that you can place. Each building has specific stats to it. So obviously there's pollution and noise pollution. They don't produce any. They have upkeep per week. They have a specific cost that it costs to actually place them. A description, obviously. So this one says a nice little plaza with trees and a fountain. Tells you how much water it could potentially use. Some of them do utilize water. Electricity, how much electricity it uses, and visitor capacity. So much like all the other parks, there is a capacity. I don't know if I've discussed this before, but all the parks have capacity. So the maximum number of people that could be visiting that specific park at a time. So you can increase the number of people who could be using amenities in your park by placing, obviously, more buildings. However, they will still walk through your park, even if all the buildings are full. So, because sometimes people just want to use it as a walkway. So we have this cool little plaza right here. Let's place it right there. So we have that. You can kind of see it. It looks like a city park. Very nice. So we have some other options. So we have park restrooms. I'm gonna place the park restrooms down over here. Place the park info booth. I'll probably place that pretty close to the entrance over here. Probably right across from the plaza. It's the main central point of the park so far. And then a park cafe. I'm gonna place the park cafe, I think, right here next to the rock. That way you can, you can kind of sit on these benches. You can look out at the water. You have a better view of everything, I think, with that being right there. So we're gonna place that right there. You can just kind of plop those down. It doesn't really matter where you place them in the park. Obviously, the closer they are to homes, they do have a radius, right? So if they're closer to homes, they will affect that radius of amenity or park upgrade, legend, entertainment, buff. And when we click on Cypress Gardens and we go into the policies tab up here, we have a bunch of different options. So animal ethics is only available to zoos, but it boosts the entertainment effect of the zoo buildings. Advertisement campaigns allows you to pay money, but it draws more people into the park. Main park, which is something we are going to check, make this park the main attraction in your city to make it more attractive to tourists. If you have several parks with this policy active, they are equally attractive to visitors. So what this does is anybody who is a tourist coming into your city will prioritize this park specifically. So expect more traffic going to there, and any tourists, maybe if they're coming from an airport, make sure that they have a direct line to this park potentially, so that way they can get to the destination they want to efficiently, so you're not creating a bunch of unnecessary traffic flow. Fine for fireworks. So parks will organize fireworks as part of a celebration, I believe, at specific days, on specific days of the month. I usually don't pay attention to them. It does create noise pollution, however, so you can do fine for fireworks and it will reduce that noise pollution. However, entertainment for the park will go down. Celebrate, which allows the park to have fireworks in there every night. Fireworks are organized daily after sunset instead of every week. Night tours. Visitors can see the park at night on special tours. Draws 30% more visitors during nighttime. We will discuss this later. Even more fun. Amusement park buildings are maintained super well. Boosts entertainment, obviously, by 20%, but it costs more per building. And recycle garbage is for nature reserves. So there's nothing really specific for city parks. I always just like to plop that main park on the first park that I get, just to make sure that this is prioritized. Whatever my biggest park is, I like to throw, and like most efficient park to access. That's the one I put main park for, so keep that in mind. Now let's discuss that night tours. So if we go under, where is it? Go under transport. Now there is the tours tab. This is part of the Parklife DLC. There is sightseeing bus depots and hot air balloon tours. Now, I don't know if the actual walking tours are part of the Parks DLC as well, but this is what is, I think is very specific in this. So walking tour point of interest. Place points of interest to create a walking tour. Tours going through areas with high appeal attract more tourists. The points of interest must form a circular line. So this will make your tourists happier, and it will direct them in specific areas. It basically gives them something to do. So if you're really looking to add more tourists to your city, this is a really great way to do that. And if we click on it, you can kind of see, we get a legend here of tours. And so with the sightseeing buses and the hot air balloon tours, you want to make sure that those go over these purpler areas rather than the white or the lighter blue areas, because those are the places that people want to go to, right? Because these are entertainment. So if we hit play now, allow the game to register that these parks exist, update all of the heat maps, things of that nature. Give it a second. Okay, now we should be able to pause again. When we go back into this tab, you'll notice that this park now is deep purple because there's a lot of entertainment here, right? These buildings are right across from one another, and those extend out over there. Total visitors until next level. So in order to unlock more buildings for your park, you have to level it up. So you need a certain level of entertainment, which are provided by specific buildings. Sometimes this can be a challenge, so that's something to think about. And the total number of visitors until next level is the amount of visitors you have walking through. So if you create this as the main pedestrian walkway from here to here, this will be very easy to achieve. And since we've kind of prioritized its location to specific areas, it could be faster for them to walk through this park this way than it could be to go this way, if the AI decides that it is. So this could be really helpful to us in kind of boosting our income. Now, obviously, this will cost money. Expenses is 184 credits, I guess. I don't know what the currency is called in this game. A month, or a week, sorry. And this is our income. So we'll see what that does, and it'll just start earning us money, and that goes towards the city. So when you click on the park area overviews, it shows you all the parks, their levels. You can click on the magnifying glass, and it basically just takes you over to it, opens that thing up. Visitors, levels, Cypress Gardens, type of park that it is. You can also click on the park itself and hit the toggle traffic routes, and you can see where everybody's coming from to come visit this park. Over here on the left now, we also have the park maintenance heat map, the tours heat map, and I believe tourism. I'm not actually sure if tourism was in this last time. I don't think it was. So these are our new heat maps that we have. And yeah, that's how Parklife works. Okay, so before we end the episode, I want to just discuss some future buildings that we could potentially have in the Parks DLC. So if we go into the Parks tab, for most of the parks, I don't believe it's all of them, but for most of them, I'm not sure if the amusement park has a water-based option, but some of them have water-based buildings, things like the park pier. In the nature reserve DLC, we do have the fishing docks, wherever they are, right here, fishing cabin. And those need to be placed close access to water. So we are going to build another park in the next episode over here as well. I haven't decided if I want it to be a zoo. I'm thinking about building a zoo as the next park kind of over here. Now, I know it does feel like we're kind of cramping everything into this peninsula before we even, I mean, we haven't even bought a tile yet. However, I want to make sure that this area has just such good access to water that we would actually be able to utilize those assets. You can place these parks and plazas buildings on roads. You don't have to place them on... Here, I'll show you. You don't have to place them on park paths. You can place them on roads. So they don't actually have to be connected to the park path at all. They just need to be in the park area. So the last thing we're gonna do before we end this episode is build out our fences. This will remove any zoning from this area. Now we could build a little cubby off, right? So like if we really wanted to, I can show you guys. We can build like this, and go up like this if we really wanted to. Let's remove those road guidelines. Boom. And then build some commercial buildings in here. It wouldn't affect the fence, and they would just kind of be fenced off from the park. However, I want to see how far we can actually upgrade this park in the allotted space. So a really cool thing to know about a lot of the buildings in Cities Skylines, when you place them over a tree like this, right? And then we destroy that. The tree's still there. The game still thinks that the tree is there. Sometimes this can cause issues on certain modded games where you don't actually realize that it's not destroying the tree, and the game's still processing and trying to load all that tree information. It can lag your game. It can make loading times slower, things of that nature. So, you know, just keep that in mind. That, like, you know, feel free to like start placing stuff, and if you delete it, the tree will come back. So just a little pro tip for drawing these lines. I always just usually use angle, and then these fences will snap to the edge of our gates. And you don't have to use the park fence for your parks either. I could have used the amusement park fence here as well if that stylistically went with what I was trying to build. So just know that you can mix and match all the non-essential items. So amusement park fence, the amusement park paths with decor, we could put those in this park if we wanted to, and any of the props as well that are at the end down over here. We could place any of those. The actual park buildings, that I'm not too sure about. I don't think so. So these just function just like roads. You have to place them in the same way. Oh, I just realized that I'm building these with park paths. No, I didn't. I did that on purpose so I can show you guys how to upgrade. Look at, you can upgrade the fences. Isn't that great? So I'm gonna try my best to follow the road to make this path as straight as possible. And there we go. And you can add more rocks if you wanted to. You can add more trees if you want to. Over time, I think we could probably decorate this park up, but I think that's where we're going to call this episode for today. And then when we expand out this area, maybe this episode or next episode or the following episode, we will have the zoo over here. We'll have the episode named. The community polls up. Make sure you guys are looking in there if you want to help name specific assets for the city, districts. I might ask to name the airport later down the road when we build one of those. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll be back. I'm just going to go straight into the next recording, and we're going to start expanding out this area, filling it in with residential, and we're going to start hitting milestones, and then eventually we'll start buying more tiles, and I'll tell you guys how to properly expand using the highway. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll be back in the next one.